Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Coffee with Coaches podcast. I'm your host, Kevin, and I just realized that I left my microphone off to the side. We're going to bring that right up here, a little podcast production in real time. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. And today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Sairam Ramadass. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you got it.
Yes, excellent. Sairam has been working in the IT industry for the last 26 plus years. His industry experience includes manufacturing, government, finance, food, e-commerce, retail, and more. He's a certified Agile DevOps coach and trainer. And since 2011, he's been helping organizations transform from a traditional to an agile mindset, capital A, Agile. Sairam, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me here.
Let's get started at the start. How did you become or realize that you were a coach? And then how did you go about going from there to beginning a coaching business?
It's a very interesting story. So I always cherished leadership. I love leadership. And I always seen success of the team defines my success. But having said that, everybody gets a turn in their life. So I had a friend, I had my manager by name Derek Whalen, which I met in ING, and he introduced me to Dale Carnegie, if you guys know Dale Carnegie.
Uh-huh.
And he also introduced me to Agile in 2007. That really changed my mindset. I really moved from being a guy that tries to really command and control to a servant leader, right? And that's pretty interesting transformation. That's the shift in the mindset that gave me an aha moment. And I just thought I should start to do the same thing for the rest of the organizations I work with. So that's really when I started, right? And it's been pretty interesting. I've been working with the corporate world for since then, like till 2018, I was working in the corporate world. And then in 2018, I started my own business, right? And I started serving both private and particularly a lot in the public sector space in the government of Canada.
Ooh. That's excellent. I love that transition. It's like, and also I very much, I know it's a very, very well-known term, but I love that command and control, shifting away from that style of leadership. It's such a succinct way to speak to some of the like old problems that we've had in the way that we think of leadership and the way that we structure our leadership. And this goes, I know it's obviously very well known in the corporate realm, but this goes all the way down to like the personal, like your leadership in your daily life as an entrepreneur, as a business person. It goes everywhere. Yeah. That desire to, again, command and control, and shifting away from that to something that's a little bit more agile, a little bit more nimble, flexible, adaptable, and I love those values. You represent those well.
I always say you have to unlearn to learn the new way.
That's right. You got to clear the decks because we got a lot of bad habits in there, don't we?
Yeah, everyone, right? And I learn every day myself as I see people, right? And when I talk to someone and I see patterns, that's what I see. I see behaviors, right? And that is how I coach them. I see patterns and behaviors all the time. If I see different patterns and I see that it becomes like a blame culture, then I really just jump on to say, hey, listen, if I point on you, 3 fingers point on me. Right?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I love that. Let's move up. Let's move into the present. Let's talk about who. Well, I've been playing with different ways to ask this question, but I think I've settled on one that I really like. It kind of captures the whole breadth of what we're trying to get at with the question. Who do you coach and how do you coach them? The who being like who you focus on, whether it's, like you said, you used to be in the corporate realm, you've moved into the public sector with some of your coaching. So things like that. And then also the how being, are you primarily one-on-one? Do you do a lot of team coaching or like mastermind style coaching? Do you do any keynote speaking? All of the above?
Yeah, it's actually all of the above, right? I do one-on-one, I do group coaching. I also do 2 big trainings, right? One in Agile and Scrum as a practitioner, right? And I also do Agile leadership training, which is one of the best one I do, the Agile leadership training. I train anyone above managers and executives. If you look into the government of Canada as an example, I do a lot of training to the director generals and assistant deputy ministers on Agile leadership. Right? It brings an interesting transformation because this goes back to the point that initially said, really driving them towards getting them to understand command and control is not the way to achieve results. So your destination is important, but your journey is as important as your destination.
And in fact, it's hard to separate them once you see them for what they are. They're a part of the same continuum, so to speak.
Right. And I also tell them, how do you really define success?
Yeah.
Success is not something just to get the destination. Success is something when you go through that journey and everybody reached safe through the journey to the destination and still being happy and wanting to work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's such a great, I love the way that you position that, because it's such a, I find that to be like really at the heart of where a lot of coaches are so helpful and so strong, is that they don't just necessarily give you the answers. They give you better questions to ask. And the question isn't necessarily, do you want to be successful? It's like, or like, how do I go about being successful? Let's try a better question. What does success look like for you? Let's talk about that. And then I love that process of getting to the better question, because then that illuminates the understanding of so much about what it is you're trying to do in your business, in your profession, that it has such a tremendous effect on your ability to move forward.
And when you talked about success, the first thing that comes to my mind is outcome and value. Right? What is the outcome that you really want to get? When I work with the government of Canada, the first thing I always ask them is, what value are you going to generate to the Canadian citizens? Right? If I focus on the value, then I'm really focused on the goals that I really want to achieve.
Right? It's very easy to lose your way on the journey, isn't it? You get distracted. I imagine it's a very particular issue in the public sector, working with government, where it's very easy to get bogged down or distracted by all manner of things, like bureaucratic goals, like structural goals, like just middle management, like all these different tiers. I kind of wanted to ask you about this, because I haven't talked with many people who've worked so significantly with both the public and the private sector. What, if any, have you found to be some of the similarities or differences between working as a coach in the public and the private sector with governments and corporations? It's
corporations. One of the major thing I see is, once the top down leaders see the value, right? They have more leverage to drive down the change within the organization.
Okay.
But when it comes to public sector, there is a lot of different, like you said, bureaucracy constraint. But I'm very lucky to have few leaders. For example, one of the person that I really work very close with by name Michel Savoy, right? He hired me when I say hired, as a consultant, as a coach to work with the team. Then he saw the potential of me training his team members. And that really triggered him. He's a real visionary. That really triggered him to train the rest of the department. So in the last 3 years, I've trained almost 500 people within the organization, within the government of Canada. Right?
That's amazing.
That includes more than 100 different director generals and directors specifically on the leadership.
I love that. I love the, I know this is a bit of a not a dirty word, but like how contagious that is, in a good way, the good kind of contagious.
it absolutely is, right? So for the rest of the year, my training calendar is fully booked, right? That's how crazy it is.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
One thing I see is, coaching is something that is just beyond giving training, right? That is not, that you do actively as you go to any meeting. As an example, you go to a meeting, you listen to someone they're saying, and sometimes you're providing advice. Sometimes you're asking them a question to get to the right decision. Right? I always tell people are scared to even ask a question. I said, there's nothing wrong in asking a question as long as you do not hurt people.
Well said. Well said.
Right?
Yeah, and that's really, it's so much something I find an attribute that I find to be very, very present in most of the coaches I speak with, is a certain lowercase agile, a certain lowercase agility, where it's every coach understands that it's important to not just to come in with a prescription or with a whole bunch of answers, but to come in with questions and to come in with patience and to be listening. And it's not about necessarily coming in with the answers and then kind of walking people through it. It's about saying the right thing at the right time, saying what someone needs to hear, guiding them in the direction they need to go in. Yeah.
And it's very interesting. You said listening, I even want to add one more thing. It's active listening.
Correct. Yes, absolutely.
Right. One thing I really do to be successful is, most of the times when you go to different trainings, they talk about what is agile, what is leadership, what is Scrum,
Hmm.
but most of the people are hungry to know the how.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there is a concept in Japanese term called shuhari, right? Shuhari. Shu means if you go into a karate, right? You just follow the master. Whatever the master says, the sensei says, you just follow the master, right? As you grow into it, you move from the shu to the ha state. The ha state is where you try your own tricks. Can I do this way? Can I do that way? And when you go to the re, you are the master.
I like that.
Right?
I like that. It's very, once again, the Japanese language comes to the rescue because that's a very elegant way to represent that concept. I love that.
Yeah. So you got to really tell them the how in the beginning, right? So you get engagement through that. That's how people start to like you. They think, okay, I can ask this person. You build credibility, right? So I always use the word credibility bank. It's like a bank. You can only use so much, right? If you don't replenish it, you lose it. Right?
That's a good way to think of it.
So what it is like I have to continuously learn and continuously adapt. So I have to preach I have to do what I preach. If I don't follow that, I'm going to be in the losing end.
Yeah, you're the best representative of your coaching principles and practices. People see it in you, they'll have your help in seeing it in themselves. They'll be able to see it in themselves and begin to take action.
Right. Exactly.
That's lovely, lovely.
Exactly.
Man, this time has been flying. I feel like I could do this for a while. Your enthusiasm is just, it's very infectious, by the way. It's like, you have a great smile. And it's just like, I feel more optimistic than usual. And I'm usually a pretty optimistic guy. I just feel a very good energy. So, and I imagine that comes through in all your coaching too. It's just been great.
I think like I told you yesterday, people call me, I have an infection of really bringing in a positive energy.
Yeah, they really, really do.
Yeah.
Before we go, where can people find out more about you? And then where can people connect with and engage with you? Like whether you have a website where you like to interact with people, or if you have a preferred social media platform, like you're really active on LinkedIn or Twitter. So yeah, where can people find out more about you and connect with you?
I am actively involved in LinkedIn. I have a profile. I also have my company. It's called AJJS TECH, ajastech.com or .ca. And you can connect me through that. And in LinkedIn, I have given my contact details as well. Absolutely, I can be reached anytime. Yeah.
I noticed that you had your email and your number there in your LinkedIn, and I was like, hey, I love that. Again, you're practicing what you preach. You're available. You're available and adaptable. It's like, hey, you want to talk now? You want to talk later? You want to do email? You want to do phone? You want to do direct message?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
People always, Sairam, are you busy? I said, I'm never busy. Right. The reason I say that is there is a difference between being busy versus being productive.
Well said. And honestly, kind of the perfect note to end things on. Don't be busy, be productive. I love it. I might title that the podcast. I'm going to make that the title of the episode. There we go. Well, Sairam, thank you so much for being here today and chatting with me. I appreciate it, and I'm grateful for it. I'm buoyed by your presence, your enthusiasm, and all the work you do. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Take care.
And thank you to the audience. And we will talk to you again soon.
Absolutely.